Listen, so we just gonna hop right into it. So we're talking about crying, right? And somebody, ain't gonna call no names until I'm done, said that they have not cried in a while, right? And all I was saying is you have to cry. But it's like everybody has their reasons why they don't cry, and that's very understandable. You don't know people's true story or whole story until, they let you in and tell you for sure. But I'm saying, like, you have to crying is like an energetic release where you can get back to yourself and become centered. And it's so crazy because I was talking to Tunji about this earlier, where we were just saying how things can just fly by and just go away in the moment when you're stepping into maybe like your purpose or, something that you're aligned with, or you're in your element, right? But I'm circling this back to crying because a lot of times people just keep things inside, and it becomes aggression, it becomes anger, it becomes disattachment, it becomes you abandon your own self. A lot of people say they deal with abandonment issues, and they're speaking of from other people abandoning them. But I feel like when you don't cry, you're actually abandoning yourself of that natural born given right to release through tears. It's just like when it rains. Right? Everybody needs water. Yes, we drink water, but you need rain to wash out the old to bring in the new. So if you don't cry, now you got all the old and the new is trying to get in and get you to your next level. But since you're not crying, now your system is literally fighting itself to see which emotion should I tackle. And it's going to take the anger and aggression every time because you have to train yourself how to be happy and to let in that new.
I'm telling you, and to let out, like you said, and I'll give you an example. Somebody told me just this the other day, and my mom went through it as well. When you're going through so much and you think, oh, I'm going to take a nap, sleep is going to be an escape. And they start grinding their teeth in their sleep.
Yeah, I've been there before.
And it got to the point where the teeth file down when it happens over months and over years and you don't address it or you don't get it all out. Like your body will take on the pain.
It's gonna get out somehow.
It's going to have to release it.
It has to.
It's gonna have to release it, and either like it's grinding your teeth or you blow up one day. And I always tell my brother this. He always like sending me clips of how these two girls they be like they stabbed this construction worker over a ring pop. And I'm like, or this clerk over a ring pop. I'm like, nobody stabbing nobody over no ring pop.
Nobody.
Right. What happened is they've been going through something for 2 years, 2 months. They're angry. And then all of a sudden they try and buy a ring pop. And the clerk is like, well, that's going to be $2 now.
And they like, that's the last straw right there.
It's always been 75 cents. Well, it's $2 now. If you can't afford it because you broke, get out. Beep. And it's like, yeah, stab. And everybody's like, they stabbing folks off ring pops now. You see what happened to society? Yeah. The culture is crazy.
And now people scared to go outside. Now people scared to do what they was gonna do. All because anger is that it was just a story like that. It was Subway though, where this guy had went up there to order a sandwich or something. No, fuck that. This other story is even more wild. So this guy is walking through the door, and some women are coming behind him. They don't say thank you to him for holding the door.
Oh my God.
And he pulls out a gun on them.
Sheesh. What
you got to be going through eternally? And why is your ego so scarred? What insecurity came to the root? The root insecurity came to the surface that quick. Yeah. And that's the most fucked up part too. And we're talking about, and we started this podcast talking about crying, but insecurities too. That's another thing. Boy, you don't know what you insecure about for real or what you used to be insecure about in your childhood until that last straw. It could be the most simplest thing, most simplest gesture. Like I walk past you and I don't say, hey, like who knows what it is? That person just goes off because they never cried or they never got to that bottom root of what the fuck is really wrong with you. Why do you talk to people like that? And why do you think you have the power to pull out a knife to stab somebody just to show how strong you are, or just to show that you really him or her?
Do you know? And do you know what it is? It's not. I don't think it's showing like how strong you are. I don't think it's showing you really him. It's really her. It's showing that you matter, that you exist. Yeah. And they say like you can earn it, you can different ways, but violence, taking a life, hurting someone, you immediately matter. That's where all this, like, this school shootings and this gun violence comes from. It's people that feel like they are never seen. that they don't matter, they don't exist, their pain doesn't matter.
Right.
So they transfer it. They want to matter, they want to be seen. And that's an immediate way to do it. You can't ignore me now. You have to see me now. And it comes out in one way or another. And I just think about that, man, because I don't think there's any man that hasn't experienced opening up the door and then not being seen, and they just walk by.
Sure,
like, I mean, like, I think it's any human being. But man, I think we feel a certain type of way. Like, I had to do this. Y'all always say chivalry is dead, it's taking it to 10. But the reality is people be in their own worlds. Somebody's walking through that door, they're thinking about what they're going through, thinking about their own life, thinking about their own issues. And you look up and somebody's pointing a gun at you like you ungrateful. Right? And that's what so happens when we consumed with ourselves. and so more of the story is you need to cry, Kamau, because I was into somebody talking about.
I mean, you want to put your business out there. I don't know if you wanted me to say that. Like, I ain't gonna take your shine and say that. I just thought it was a great segue. And it needed to be said.
Hey, man.
Personally,
if I would have said it, it would have been like, hey,
now?
telling people.
Can I speak now on behalf of the non-criers committee? I'll represent us here.
You have motion to speak
at this establishment because nobody is representing us. I mean, I really don't even know where to start because y'all covered the whole gamut already in 30 seconds. So, I mean, I think just from, a personal level, and I don't know what Zuri was talking about. I never even said that I don't cry. Like, I think they just assumed that and picked that up and just ran with it. I mean, they're not wrong, but I never came out and said that. I think for me, like, believe it if you want, but I experience it as a very kind of like comical truth at this point, is that you can legit forget how to cry. And not in the sense of the physical emotion, like tears coming out your eyes, but more so when it's time to cry, you forget how to cry. You forget that like, I need to do this thing to help me. Because there has been times where I'm like, crying would be good right now. I just logically think about it. I'm like, damn, like, this would be a good thing to be able to do. But like it is to the point now where like, I think I can cry if there is something that really sad happens, like if really it only kind of comes to me when death like is when I'm experiencing death in some regard, the death of a loved one, or it's usually death. And it's not just like in my personal life, if I'm at a funeral and I see somebody I love who's just like breaking down, it hurts me. But if I had, a stressful 3 weeks, crying is just not the thing that I'm able to do to like flesh that out. And it's funny. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because the grind and teeth thing, like I've had experience with that, where there will be like a line in your inner cheek. It'll just be a line that goes all the way back to like your gums. And I was like, what the hell is that? Yeah, that's grinding teeth. I'm just TMI, but just chewing the fuck out of my cheeks when I'm like sleep.
That's it.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time, but either way, it's just like crying is just one of those things where I do feel like you can forget how to do that. And
no, that's a super valid point, because like I said, I went through a whole like probably 5 to 7 year period where I didn't cry, and it's not like I was thinking about it. It's not like, and I'm also not a person like where it's okay, it's been 3 weeks, I've been stressed, like you said, like let's get out a good cry or anything like that. But I think it really started when I started teaching, and I had to start putting myself in other people's shoes and like forcing myself. I was forced to be way more empathetic and live other storylines so I could understand. And then like, because that's what it takes to really be able to connect and teach and like to the level that I wanted to. And then I found myself and I'll tell like one story that comes to mind. I don't know if I've shared that on here, but just the dynamics of teaching, where one morning a young lady came in and said she had been like molested or raped that morning. This is before school has started.
Mm.
And like I'm processing, and then another teacher comes in, like an administrator comes in, grabs her. I like can't remember what I did, whether I held her or not, but I was like, I love you. We'll talk. Didn't see her again for months, just like gone.
Did you feel like you were crossing a line, like when to hug a student, or like to hold an intimate space with the student and tell them you love them? Did you feel like you were crossing a line, or were you even worried about that? Did that cross your
No,
mind?
I don't care about that at all. Like first day I came in out gate, and like, y'all are my nieces and my nephews.
That means your intent was good and pure too, though.
Yeah, y'all are my family. I told that to their parents' face. Like I'm teaching them like this is my family.
Intent
so my expectations are the same.
I just feel like in the age that we live in, like I would think about that. It would cross my mind.
No. It should.
I get what you're saying.
And it did cross mine, right? But also I operate. You're hearing one section of the whole relationship I had with this student, let alone all my students, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, the environment I set in the classroom, like some teachers will walk in the first day and start teaching content. We go through the syllabus, then we go through 2 to 3 weeks of building activities. They know me as a human being, right? They've touched parts of my soul, of who I am. I would share things with them that I only share with my family. So the level of comfort and what's been built in there is different. So, but all that has to be thought of, and all that has to be planned for and, executed upon. So that's one thing. But all that's to say, like to the tears piece, to speak to that morning, I still had to teach that day. So it's like the tears run down your face, and you like, to be honest, that moment, I don't even know if tears still, I was just stuck.
Yeah.
I was stuck. And then it's like where time falls away, and you just kind of like standing there like, what do I do now? I just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
But these students are going to come in, and you still have to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to flip the mode, because they deserve the joy they were going to get. And all of them dealing with their own stuff. And the energy that I'm about to give them is the energy they're about to have. So like to be able to switch, and I don't know. I got lost in that moment for a second, but I say going back into teaching is what brought the tears back. Because what people go through, what like in this life, in this world is crazy. And I think like Kamau said, I had forgotten how to cry. Like even as a useful tool, like I need this to, like to move forward. It'll be effective to be able to shift gears.
Yeah.
But I'll say now, like, sis, go ahead, Zuri.
It's so beautiful to have different perspectives and different stories. Like I'm loving this conversation, because as I'm hearing y'all talking about, your experience with crying and having tears fall, I am a complete 180 difference.
That's the complete.
The complete, like all my life, like as Oprah, all my life I had to fight. Like all my life I had to fight to not have tears.
All my life I had to cry.
Like in moments that I'm like, Zuri, you better not drop this fucking tear. Like stand up. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like that. I'm like that for real. And I love that about myself. I used to see it as a weakness, and I used to see it as something that I needed to be quote unquote stronger in. Like, who the fuck even told me that in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like crying is strong too, right? So it's just like, there were times, okay, I remember this story, right? And this is actually attached to my purpose of what I'm realizing I'm put on this earth to do. So bear with me. So when I was younger, I was going through like this confirmation, right? I grew up in the church with my family, and we were going through a confirmation. Like, when you're younger, like a rites of passage almost. And we had to give, if I remember correctly, I only remember the delivery, but I remember correctly, the purpose of the assignment or the mission, call it a mission, was to talk about a, purpose or situation that you would like to change or some shit like that. And I picked homelessness, y'all. Me not knowing from a can of paint how this was going to affect me while I went into it and really dove into and helped the homeless and fed the homeless and just seeing how they live and how it's so different from me. I mean, I was 12 years old, and me seeing this other life, I'm like, this is happening. Like, this is real. Like every night I go home to a hot meal, or I get to choose what I want. I get to choose if I want to eat or not. I get to choose if I want to watch TV or not. Like, I'm like, this cannot be real, right? The tears like took just it this was the first time I ever felt myself away from myself. Like, I was 12, right? So this is the first time I ever experienced an out of body experience. And in this moment, I think that's when I started to realize who I was at the core. Like, I didn't understand why it affected me so much. So all that to say, I have been crying all my life. And it's really the empath in me too, because I can feel other people's energy. I can feel sometimes what people feel before they even do. But I had to learn not to overstep boundaries and maybe say like, oh yeah, I kind of felt blase. But I think being an empath definitely plays a part in that as well. And when I realized that it was a good release and it was very much positive, to being able to cry, there were things where I just let myself go sometimes. I'm like, it's okay, just let it go. And after, it's like a recharge almost, for sure.
If I could kind of like juxtapose this against society for a second, because this is kind of what I was hitting on with what Tunji was saying, and I think it's interesting because Zuri, you seem like a person, just based on what you just told us, that had like a strong emotional default, like you were in tune with emotions at a pretty young age. And then I think, even to an extent, like you matured emotionally, by going through those experiences, right? Like understanding how you feel, why you feel. And then I kind of think of just my own experience and just how I feel like I've grown up and navigated through society. And I feel like I've had to learn how to be cold. Like I've had to learn how to not be over emotional, or to not that there's a time and that there's a place for that, but that is not all the time. Absolutely. And that is not all the place. Yeah. And when you lean into that, well, not necessarily lean in, I feel like that's not the right word, because it's not necessarily a voluntary like lean into it, but it's more so just like when you adapt. And I think you really kind of get into, I guess you can say suppression, and suppression emotions, because there's not really any space for that. And I think over time, I feel like it's benefited me in some ways, like particularly business, right? Knowing when not to give an inch, when not to show weakness, when not to show that I'm intimidated or that I'm scared, that we're going to remain cool, calm, and collective, even though I might be on fire in the inside, even though like I might want to choke the person out who's talking crazy to me. Like I can remain calm in situations. I think that comes with a trade-off though, because like if you've suppressed and you've chosen to kind of be really strong in situations, then you lose touch. At least me, like I've lost touch with some of the other side, where it's like it's time, it's the time and the place, but it's like that muscle isn't as strong for me to be like, all right, time to feel.
Yeah, like what's so powerful about the alignment? This morning, I was literally saying this quote for hours on end. I heard it from like James Baldwin's like direct audio. He said, "You must understand that your pain is trivial, except insofar as you can use it to connect with other people's pain. And insofar as you can use it to connect, insofar as you can use your pain to do that, you can be relieved of it. So essentially, your pain is inconsequential other than the use of it being connected to other people. And when you connect it to other people's pain, you're relieved of it. You get freedom." And then I took it to like the Black community, right? Think about like people go through so much pain. If they would address all of it, they would drown. That's why Black people be hilarious, and everything can become a joke.
About that, yeah.
everything can become a joke. Because if it wasn't, you would drown in pain. And then we become artists, we become ball players, we become all of this. Like, what's that? Like Meek Mill and Lil Baby and what you call it? Dirk song, Rich Pain. And so much music and everything comes out of it, right? Because you take that same pain, it's like, I gotta do something with it. And I think that's what James Baldwin was speaking of. Like, if you keep it inside, if you just look at it as pain, as hurt, it will destroy you. It can destroy you. And when you look at it, and when I compare it to, Barack Obama said this as well. He said, like, what you have to understand is, yes, what you're going through may be something, but it's nothing compared to what your ancestors went through. And they got to the other side, so you can be here right now. So it's just looking at it in the sense of your pain is absolutely real. But the second you decide to do something with it, it's freedom. The second you decide to do, you never have to. You never have to. You never have to cry. You can, be stoic. You can be like, I'm a dog. Like, never. You never have to do anything with it. It's going to come out in the ways that it chooses to. Maybe an outburst, maybe whatever. But if you say, I'm going to do something with it, whatever you do with it will result in your freedom.
Yeah. And I do want to go back to a powerful piece you said when you were saying to attach your pain to someone else's. Now it becomes freedom. It's something I've been thinking about all week. All week is this right here. It doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. And I think when I heard you say that, it just made so much sense. It was just a light bulb. Because again, I'm a bigger picture person. So it's like any pain that I've gone through, the way that I can get over it and keep going to the next level is knowing that it's a bigger reason that this is happening. Like, this is my journey. There's a bigger reason. This is not just happening just to happen. And I think it's also helping me pivot my mindset too, to not be in such a just a like low mindset if something happens to me that made me feel away in a negative way. It's like, this isn't happening to me. This is happening for me, but I don't know what that reason is yet. But it's so much freedom every time, like, I'm in the moment and something hits me and I'm like, I'm so glad I went through that. Like, I'm legit changing my mindset from so much pain that I felt in the last year. I want to say almost 2 now. It's like, thank you. Like, I'm in my 20 somethings. Thank you. Thank you. All the slurs that's been said to me or whatever, has happened. Thank you. I'm legit. Like, I have goosebumps right now because that's literally how I look at it. It's like, thank you, because I understand that now and I know what that is. So when it starts to come my way again, or I start to feel that way again, I know how to prevail. I know how to keep walking. I know that, again, this is for me, and I know it's for a bigger picture. I can see the vision. Like, I can feel it.
And what I want you to understand, because I know some people are sitting and listening, they thinking like, man, it must be nice, because like I'll see it that way. And what you have to understand is it's a decision. It's an active decision that you make. And once you start deciding, I was talking to Zuri about this earlier. Once you start deciding, I'm going to look for it, like something good is going to come from this. I'm going to look for the good. Whatever you look for, you find. That's how the brain works. The brain doesn't know positive. It doesn't know negative. When you're saying this is going to work out for my good, your brain starts to look for the good that will happen. And there's always good. But once you start saying my life is garbage, your brain's going to find the garbage. So all it's saying is actively making the decision. Trust me, both are going to be there. I'm not saying there's not garbage in your life. Trust me, there's garbage, but there's light too. And the only question is, which one are you going to actively say is, what are you going to decide? Man. It is completely your choice. And the more momentum you get in one direction, the more dangerous you become in that direction. So I say, choose to say, this is going to work out for my good. Yeah. Because why choose the L? Like, whenever I catch L's, I'm about to break these down and make them look like W's. I'm gonna make it look like it was on purpose. I'm telling you, I'm gonna try and make it look like it was on purpose, and then you get that alignment. Yeah, break them down, twist them into W's.
No, that's facts. I ain't never thought about that. Them shits do look like a W. My bad. I don't know if you was done, but my bad. That shit just shook me.
No. Because it's something I think about a lot. Like, I'll be spitting freestyles. I said it one time with a freestyle. I'm like, oh, I'm him. Ooh, I'm about to get signed.
Because you got my ass. You ain't even rapping.
But yeah, like, no, that's just something I really want people to understand. It's a decision you make.
Thanks.
It's a decision I make every morning to say these L's. Like, no, it's only L's because I see it that way. In the grand scheme of things, it's going to work out for my good. It's going to work out. Like, watch.
Can
and then I open up my eyes and I look.
Can I take you back to this pain thing you said, though? Because I thought that was really, really, really interesting, insightful, wise. You said that, like, your pain, if you're able to, use that and find how that relates to other people's pain, right? And get connected. And I think that's a really tall task, right? Taking your pain and trying to connect it with other people's pain. Because I think I'm just going to speak for America, because, like, obviously that's where we're all from, and that's kind of the society we know. But I feel like the American culture is that of individuals. It's all about individualism. And it's all about kind of like who you are and how that how you should be appreciated for your uniqueness, and you shouldn't really care, what another man, woman, religion, politician says, right? That it's just kind of about you, and I think that it can be tough to want to be an individual, right? To want to be independent, to want to be all these things, to think of yourself as just you. And I think the challenge, is that connection piece, right? When you lean so much into the individualism, individualizing, like, your emotions and your feelings, and again, just becoming self-sufficient, right? Becoming self-made. It's all this stuff about you and what you got to do and how you got to, grow or progress or develop, right? And then you think about something so fragile like emotions, right? And how vulnerable you got to be to share your pain, to open up, to even talk about it, right? Pain is kind of like the dark side of life. It's something that, I've definitely been tempted to just, I go through it, then I put it down and just, like, put that shit in the back trunk. It's not something that I'm ready to air out and build friendships over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's natural, sometimes you do find somebody and you bond over pain, but I'm just kind of curious to hear you guys talk a little bit about your experiences, being vulnerable with your pain and finding a way to make it productive with others.
Man, for me, it's natural. Now, I'm not out here just telling people my pain to make friends. Like you said, definitely understand that. But once I tell you pain, I see you in a way that I can trust you, or I know that synergy. And that's a way, and that's another way of connection for me. I don't go in with that, but once I have hit that notch, I know that I found a friend for a season that I'm supposed to, or forever. Because again, me being an empath, that's a way that I connect. I also connect from talking to other people about their pain, because I might have felt it, or I just know that I have the words because of just who I am and because of, like, who speaks through me. And that's something that has really helped my friendships, I would say, because that's a part of connection. When you're vulnerable with someone, you're giving someone the okay to be themselves. It's kind of like Tunji, like how you say that you do your speaking videos for yourself, and that gives other people the wisdom and the courage to do the same. That's just like speaking about your pain with someone. That's just like being vulnerable with someone. If I'm vulnerable with you, it's an automatic trust. That's just how human beings are set up. So far, that's definitely my experience. And I just love being vulnerable. That's me. Like, it's so freeing to me, because when I'm not vulnerable, I'm forcing myself not to be, and I hate feeling that way. So if I'm forcing myself not to be, I don't need to be around you, because it's something about your synergy, something about your energy. It's something about who you are deep down that you're not showing me off rip. And that's a red fucking flag for me. Platonic, romantic, it doesn't matter. Or just a stranger off the street, it doesn't matter. I've connected with people that I didn't know. I've connected with people that I've known for years, but it just wasn't the right time yet to be vulnerable. And when I was vulnerable, when I stepped into that, our friendship elevated even more. Where the trust, it wasn't automatic because it was building, but in that moment, it was automatic. So I can't force vulnerability. And if I do, I have to get away from you. So that's one way to kind of rate, for a lack of better word, rate my friendships for sure.
I say I use it, especially being a speaker, I use it strategically. And I learned this really when I was in my classroom and I needed to connect with these students and I didn't have the time that I wanted to. And this was a year where it was like my second year teaching, and it's like out the gate, I want to be connected to you. I want to know you. And there's a time I was going through it with my dad and we weren't in a good place. And I hadn't even shared this with my sisters or anybody else. And I told my students, like, I'm sharing this story with you because you are my family. Because the reason why, because I know that it will break down barriers of connection. I'm not pretending to tell you like you're my nieces and my nephews. You are. And here's the story and this story doesn't have a happy ending. It doesn't have an ending yet. I'm still pissed. I'm still angry. Right. That's where I'm at.
That's the tough ones to share too.
Yeah.
I'm still
like this isn't a happy ending. That's the end of the story. Right. I'm pissed right now. Like that's where I'm at. And like, they connected with that so much. And it wasn't even I had to even be more strategic. Like, let's not share your personal stories out loud. Understand I'm a teacher, what that comes with. But anything you want to put on this paper that you want me to know what's going on with you, I want to connect with you as well. So it's not on the first day, first week of school where you have the environment in the classroom to everybody share their deepest like stories. Because now all of a sudden kids are getting pulled out, somebody's getting pulled out the home, because these stories go to those places, right? So it's getting them to understand, like, I'm a mandated reporter and everything that comes with being a teacher, but also the dynamic of I want to know you for real. And so like that really helped me understand, like, as a speaker now, when I go through my thing in the morning, the highest level of mastery to me as a speaker is for me to grab a microphone and tap into a true, raw emotion and not be pretending. And then have the skill set of the quotes, of the stories and everything, but the emotion. Like if I go to that place where now a tear is falling for me and I'm in that place, now I know you're in that place with me. And if I can take you to that place with me, we can get to the end point of the objective of what I'm speaking about. But that's what I realized is the highest level of mastery. So now it's not only being able to tap into my pain, your pain, somebody else's story. So like me, pain is a skill set as well. Being able to go to that place and not be destroyed by it, but to use it effectively, to get an objective, to get something done, as I found that as well.
I really
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I really respect the perspective of just being public with it. I think for me, like I'm not a painless person. Obviously, we all go through shit. I think it's just who I choose to share it with. It's a lot smaller of a circle, and I think I can't even put a nail on it exactly why I choose to share with a lot smaller of a circle than I just choose to share it publicly. I think it's kind of levels to relationship, and relationships just generally speaking. When you meet somebody on the street, like, and you guys start up a chat, like, to me that's kind of the beginning of a relationship. And so I think, like, for me, I feel like I'm a bit more of an onion, where like there's layers and I'm not just about to disclose stuff on like the outer layers or even the second layer or even the third layer.
Yeah. To be honest, there's wisdom to it. Because to keep it a buck, what I do in different moments is dangerous. Because people will take advantage of you. Hurt people. And when you share something deep, it's like, oh, and when they're hurt, and like I'm hurt deep, so I want to cut you deep too. That's the first place they go.
Listen.
That's the first place they go.
Got
To
me
touch you
fucked
right
up.
by your soul. And I
That's
risk
facts,
that
though.
with my students because a lot of them were in hurting places. And when they're in that place, they could go there.
Yeah.
And I
totally.
risked that, and I told them that. Right. So it's really about thinking these things deeply. I wouldn't necessarily recommend, like, oh, yeah, this is the way to go about it. No,
Yeah.
what I did was reckless, and I had to get myself to a place to understand this is what you're risking.
Yeah.
This is what you're risking. And I told them that, and that's what builds the bond. Because I'm risking being hurt by them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and that's what makes them family. Because they know you and hurt you for real, for real. That's what makes them the inner circle. Because they know you and they could hurt you for real, for real. So that's what I risk it. And that's what that highest level, and that's why musicians, they start blowing up when they start sharing the real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the music is good and everything, but they start sharing like what they really going through. Somebody gets dumped, they go through a divorce, they're like, oh, that album about to be fire. And we know it. We know it. Like, oh,
that's legit what we say.
Yep, that new Beyonce, that new Kanye, let's get it.
Mm-hmm. Like, I want to circle back too. There was something, I've been stuck on this all week too. Do it scared. That's been on my mind all week.
Talk about
if you're
that
thinking
one.
about something, do it scared. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I'm going to circle that back to what we're talking about right now in the moment. Like you said, Tunji, I relate again. Something happened with my dad about a year ago. Hated his fucking guts for it. I'm talking, I was going through it where I just needed someone to talk to, but I was scared to because once I said it, I could not take it back.
Yeah.
So I sat on it for I don't know how long. And I was only telling myself that, telling God that, really just like trying to get through it. And I finally festered up the courage to text my best friend and said, hey, is there any way I can come over today? I need to talk. She was like literally in a millisecond. Sure. I go over there. I'm still scared because once I say this, I'm going to have to be so vulnerable because of how whatever was said to me cut me so deep. I'm a vulnerable person, but this was different. This was so different because I just knew what I had been telling myself and how I really felt. If I say this, there's no taking it back. And I'm going to have to sit in that and really wring this out so I can get through this. Wring these tears out, wring this out. As I'm sitting there telling my best friend the story, 3 seconds in, I'm crying because what? I'm a crier, right?
I mean, sounds like something intense though. So,
but I'm still getting it out, and I'm telling my true feelings, and I'm scared as hell. And I could see her body language because I'm talking, I'm emotional, I'm getting through it though. 10 minutes later, she has nothing to say. She's silent, which I appreciated because every time you don't need someone to tell you advice. You don't need that. So in that moment, I don't know if she knew that. And if you're listening to this, I know you know this is you. I don't know if you knew that, but I needed that in that moment for you to just listen. And once I was done, I felt a relief, and I also felt more confidence because that's what I felt. I was only scared because I was thinking of what other people would think of me for saying this, something that I felt my whole life, honestly. So it's like that vulnerability really can give you confidence in the pain too. Especially if you have people around you who are willing to listen and just take you for you. That's it. That's when you could be your true vulnerable self. What's up?
I want to not ask something, but just kind of say an observation about the inner circle and why, because I agree with your last point, which was, when you get to that level of vulnerability, you can get scared how other people are going to perceive it, like how they're going to judge you now, how their perceptions of you change in their eyes. And I think that to me is why I'm really guarded with that. I'm really guarded whether I can control it or not. I'm really guarded with how people perceive me and what I give them in order to perceive me a certain way. And so when it comes to this inner circle and opening those doors for people, like it's a vetting process to get to that place where like you are the inner circle. Like my students would not be the inner circle. I can love y'all, but like the inner circle to me is a place of like extreme vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? And I have to have enough faith in you that you're not gonna let me down in this situation, or that you're not gonna hurt me worse when I'm already in a bad situation.
And it's so funny because I think about like that's just number one comes to mind, like this African proverb is like a friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you have forgotten the words. So it's like it's those moments like where you share that deepest pain, that song in your heart, and then later on it's the fact that they don't use it, right? That I've shared something so deep that could cut, like if you were to use it, this would destroy us. Like, and I think that's what's so powerful about the leverage it gives you, because I had to get to that place mentally of, because honestly, it came from inadequacies. This was my first year, second year teaching, and I wanted them to get to a certain place as human beings. And I knew I didn't have the skill set, the curriculum, all that at the time to get them right. All I knew was I had to love them from the first day to the last day, no matter what. No matter what, and it's hard. So I'm like, if I offered this up and they used it against me, would I still love them the next day? Once I got to the place where I said yes, then I was able to offer it up. I didn't offer it up first. Does that make sense? Like I had to make that decision within myself first, that this is something that if it was used against me, it wouldn't destroy the friendship. And I think a lot of people, they offer things up that to a hurt person that's also a flawed human being. And like Zuri said, once it's offered up, ain't no taking it back.
Ain't no taking it back.
Ain't no taking it back. So before you offer it up, know that this is still a flawed human being, because we like to pretend that like anybody can't hurt you. And usually it's the people that you love most and that love you most that hurt you the most.
Yes.
Speak on that.
Because strangers can't hurt you like that, maybe physically, but that real deep pain, the one that can touch you forever, that's going to come from family. That's going to come from a friend. That's going to come from a day one. Mm-hmm. So that's just the reality. We pretend that that's not where the greatest pain is going to come from, period. But that's where also the greatest joys come from, the strongest bonds, by the simple fact that I offered it up. And now the clock is run by. Those first group of students, 21, 22 now. I was just having a conversation with one earlier today, but I'm about to slide out to LA for the weekend. Can I crash on your couch? Be like, oh, nah, like my brother here now, like, don't worry, I'm still gonna get up with you. Hit up my other student. Hey, I'm about to slide to LA. You know, I thought I was gonna be there Saturday. I'm gonna be there Friday too. You know, I'm gonna slide on the couch and we're gonna catch up. They my family now. Other teachers don't rock with their students. Like, other teachers don't risk it, don't get to rock with their students like that. They don't have lifelong bonds. Because what I did was dangerous. It was reckless. And only those who risk going too far ever realize how far one can go. I got family. I got family. Talk to me nice.
And Kamau,
myself up.
And Kamau, I wanna say this too. Piggybacking on what both of you all said, but Kamau, it's for you, not them, to begin with. Ooh. We have things that we need to get off of our chest that needs to be said, to get that bondage out of us so we won't abandon ourselves, our true self. So it's for you before it's for them. All they're doing is listening. Whatever they decide to do with it, that's them, right? And like you said, Tunji, whatever they decide to do with it, like that's up to them. It cannot destroy you if you're going at it from the piece of, I need to get this out. This cannot be in me anymore. I cannot keep thinking about this. I cannot keep overthinking it. I cannot keep beating myself down about it. I have to tell someone we are here to help each other, to be a community. And you cannot destroy me off of something that tried to destroy me in the beginning. Ooh. So it's like, you can't destroy it regardless. Now, if I find out some things that you might have said, or, okay, cool, it'll hurt, right? But it's for you in the beginning, period, because I have to get this off my chest. This is too heavy. This is too heavy. I need some freedom. This pain has to leave me.
And I'll share this too. Like just last night, I did a workshop, and what I do for the spiritual is a visualization. And the prompt is this: You close your eyes, and I want you to imagine your biggest struggles in life, whatever it is, you're on the other side of them, right? Like you've accomplished it, you've gone through it, and you're standing in front of people that need to hear the story, and you're telling them your story, and you're looking into their faces, and they need to hear that it's possible for somebody to get to the other side. And you're having that experience right now of telling them that you were going through this for years, and now you're on the other side of it, and you're looking into their faces. That's the visualization practice. It's not money, it's not like things, because beyond those things, that's what we're really chasing. Henry David Thoreau said, men will go fishing their whole lives and not realize that it's not fish they are after. That's what you really want, to be on the other side of those issues. And like James Baldwin said, to share that pain, to actually have it to connect and bless someone else's life. Because when the worst thing in the world is to go through pain that means nothing. Useless pain. Useless. And it's just mollywopping you for years. But the second it's used to bless someone else,
sheesh.
Now it's freedom. Now at least it's used for something. And also to what you said, Kamau, about like wanting to control how people see us. I had to give that up. Me too. I had to give it because it's an illusion. It's an illusion. You are never, like, especially being a Black person in this reality, you will never get seen how you really are by everybody. Sheesh. You don't get that luxury. You don't get that luxury. We learn it as children, and then we try and fight our way out of it for the lifetime instead of just being free to be ourselves. You don't get to walk around this world and be seen for who you are. You get to be seen by who they told you you are. And the beautiful thing about it is just being yourself. Being yourself ends up radiating through all the illusions anyway. The flaws, the truth, and everything in between. Or excuse me, the flaws, the beautiful parts, and everything in between radiates through all the nonsense. But when we try and put up guards and we try and systematically finesse our image, we end up losing ourselves. And it's just honestly, it's too much stress. It's too much stress. It's too difficult. It's too difficult to try and get somebody to see me a certain way.
Shit, we speaking facts, man. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying it's too heavy a burden to carry. And I feel like so many of us, we've tried to carry that. Like, nah, this is who I am. See me. But at the same time, we don't really want to be seen. We really don't want to be seen.
But that's why we're looking for someone else to see us so bad, because we want them to tell us who we really are.
Talk about
so
that
it's like
part.
then when we don't get that, it's like, shit, you telling me I got to do the inner work then? Just tell me who I am. But how the hell somebody else gonna tell you who you are? Do the work. Look inward.
I think I was forced to go that route when I kept getting disappointed with how people were misreading it. And it was just like, I think I got to a place where I knew my worth and I knew my potential and I knew what I bring to this earth, but that all the people who I was expecting and working for them to see that always would undershoot it. And it just started to frustrate me. I'm like, bro, you got me so fucked up. Like, you got me so fucked up if you think that's my ceiling. Like, then it just became a chip on my shoulder. Like, I'm about to blow the doors off of your expectations to the point where, like Tunji says, you just can't do nothing with me anymore because like what you thought was going to be possible, I just keep going past it. You know, it's just like, you can't hold me. It's a different kind of, I think it's a different kind of experience, you know, when you are, I think there's a difference between like your worth and then like your potential. I think I've always had a good self-worth, but it's my potential, right? It's that teacher in high school who's saying, oh, like he, you know, Kamau
Kamau, he's a smart student, but like he's not doing his potential. He's not doing as much as he could be. And it's
I heard
like,
that.
man, I used to hear that so much. And it's like, I think like I just got to a point where I knew it, I knew, that I wasn't like showing up as fully as I could have. But then you get to a point in the workplace where people are like, oh, bet, like, I know your ceiling. Like, oh, bet I'm fit to follow you in with those people. Like, we're about to put you on this little conveyor belt. And it's like, bro, you got the wrong one, but it had to come from a place of like permission, like I had to give myself permission because nobody else was going to give me permission.
To ask you a hard question, do you think they put you in that box because you were trying to portray yourself a certain way rather than just being yourself? Or do you feel like they just like, nah, they had you messed up?
I mean, I feel like they try to put me in the box because I think it was a face value read, like they just look at me as, a young Black kid who went to public school, who might have earrings, who might wear Jordans. And it was just like a surface level read. Like, oh, this guy's not intelligent. This guy's not a professional. This guy's not, he's not articulate. Like it's just that surface level read that I think got me shuffled into that category.
Man, your story of grade school, people just telling you like, oh, you have so much potential. You brought me back. When I tell you in grade school, that is all I heard. And it never frustrated me because I know what the fuck they were talking about. Like, I didn't even understand the concept of what they were talking about. I mean, we can go all the way back. I used to get the calls home, and it could, I used to hang with a crew that now I understand that was not, my people for who I truly am, but that's all a part of the journey. And I used to get that all the time. And I would just sit there like with a blank face, like blank look on my face. I have no clue what you're talking about. That's because I had to see it for myself. Like you can't tell me that. You don't have the power to say that. You're saying it because, at the time you were a teacher, at the time you were a paraprofessional, whatever you want to say was, quote unquote power over a youngster at that time. But that's not your job. It's just not your job to say that. It's not your job to tell me that.
Yeah, I
and
felt like it was
I know it was from a good place for sure. I know it's from a good place. But in the place that I am now, as I'm still evolving, but still right now in this moment, I had to figure that out myself. And now when I look back, I'm like, yo, I was a beast even then, and I had no clue.
Yeah.
So it's like, we need those things to look back on. We need those comments to look back on. Again, I appreciate that. That was for me, for continuing to hear that, because now in this mindset, if I would hear that now, it'll hurt a little bit. It's like you said, like, you don't know who you're dealing with. Like, there's no way you see that. There's no way you can see me like that. Because I have potential still, but I am the potential right now. I've surpassed that potential. So we need those backhanded comments. We need those good intentions of telling us that back in the day. Because when we arrive and we look back, oh, you motherfucking right. I did have potential. Right. And I see it now.
And what's so funny is, from a teacher perspective, I'll tell you this. Those comments about they have potential is not a backhanded comment. It's they playing. You the one, but you playing. And if you figure it out and you put one and one together, you're gonna be a problem. But you playing. There's other conversations you have where, okay, this student needs support. It's not like you're not living up to your potential. It's like, no, you should be an all-out problem. You should be the one with straight A's, doing this sport, in this club, in this, like, that's where you should be at. But you okay with B's, a C here or there. Like, nah.
That was me
it's
too.
It's not okay.
That was me too.
Yeah, that's what the teacher
said. It was like, oh, perfect.
That's what
not a C or
and that's what the teacher's saying. Like, and if you think back on all your years in school, if you really walked in like, I'm finna get straight A's, you would get it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. It would be a joke to you. and you still do whatever else you wanted to. That's what the teacher was saying. And now you look back and you know that. You know that. And me personally, how I know is because I was a finesser. I learned very early in school that this isn't about learning. This is about getting grades. This is a job, right? I got business to handle. So I would come in, whatever it took to get the grades, like, okay, let me get this homework for somebody else. Let me do this. Okay, this I actually got to study for. This I actually got to learn, or like enough to pass the test. In 8th grade, this football player came down to us, like to our 8th grade class, and say, yeah, man, I did great my senior season, but I messed up my freshman year. So I can't go to UGA and this school and this that I want to go to. I got to go to this, like, school that I don't want to go to because I failed all these classes freshman year because I was playing around, and I couldn't make up for it like the next 3 years. I couldn't dig myself out of the hole well enough to go where I wanted to. Boy, that shook me to my soul. And I walked into high school, 9th grade. I'm like, I'm getting straight A's. And I got straight A's. And that was the only time I got straight A's, y'all. After that, I was like, man, it's easy. I'm him. I ain't touched straight A's one time again after that. But
mindset was there, though.
Yeah, right. It
Early.
proved to myself that that's what they've been talking about.
Facts.
When I got scared into it, I touched the potential. And it's like you said, everything you want is on the other side of that fear. I was like, hey, boy, you better stop playing. My man came down here to tell you the story of what your life could be like. So I got serious and I reaped the benefits of that fear. But,
as we're talking about this and I look back, like you said, if we would have known what we know now, right? We're like, oh yeah, I'm getting straight A's. For some reason, the question popped in my head, would I be the Zuri I am now if I had that mindset early on back then? And the fact that I don't even want to know that because I love who I'm becoming and I love where I am. And I love sitting on this podcast with you all with so much pain that I could talk about for the next person. You know what I'm saying? And that's just one part that I'm talking about. Like, I appreciate that. Like, again, it happened for me, right? And I understand what you were saying, Tunji, as well, that wasn't a backhand comment, but I also had backhanded comments for sure. That now that I look back and I'm like, fuck you. But at the same time, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you, because I see why you would say those backhand comments back then. I do. Again, that wasn't your place, but I get it. And now I'm so grateful that I understand it. Like, it's a blessing to understand that. It's a blessing to see maybe why they said it. And honestly, I don't remember my mindset back then, but some of the times I do. It was just chilling. I'm chilling. Like, honestly, y'all, to be transparent, I didn't see myself past high school. I couldn't imagine myself in college. I couldn't imagine myself working. I couldn't imagine myself. I had dreams all the time. Always had a vision or dream, but I just couldn't see myself doing it. And I think, I don't know what that blockage was, but it makes perfect sense now of why I was okay with making C's. Like, I had a freaking 9 in the class before. Like, in high school.
What, out of 100?
Out of 90. Yes, a 9 out of 100. Nina. Like, that's how much I was chilling. I didn't have, I couldn't,
I'll keep it in a buck.
I saw a video on that too, by the way.
No, real talk.
I saw a video on that.
I couldn't
put
get
that boy on a plane.
Yeah, real talk.
I mean, that made you though. You him.
No, real talk. That. I learned very quickly.
And it's just I couldn't see a vision. So that just got me thinking. Like, I appreciate how it happened, because now I'm a beast. It is like I have so much to talk about. It's all for a purpose.
I want to add though, like, about this backhanded compliment thing though, like about this, I see so much potential in you, because some people can actually use that manipulatively. And I just want to throw that out there, because some people want you to be who they want you to be, but that doesn't mean that's who you're supposed to be. That doesn't even mean, like, just because you think I got potential, or you're saying I got potential for me to be the best cashier at Trader Joe's, man, fuck out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is not my potential. You want to maximize me to make it benefit you, but that has nothing to do with me, my individual purpose, and what I'm actually here to do. And so I think just keeping that in the perspective and in the context of the conversation, because there could be those, and I'm not just going to single out teachers, but there could be people as you're walking along your path of finding your purpose who are trying to derail you or trying to get you to like maximize, quote unquote, maximize your potential in this arena. But, you know, that's really just smoke and mirrors. That really actually is not what the direction that you need to maximize your potential. And sometimes that could be hard though. Like if you don't know yourself, if you don't really know, you
That's
know,
it.
if you
That's
don't
it.
know those
That's the bullseye.
inclinations and those things that really call to you, like you can get distracted by other people saying, hey, you know, you're not showing up, you're not giving enough in this category.
No, because
Oh,
the reality
Kamau,
is.
why did you touch on this? My mind went straight to my experience. Okay, this happened to me in a relationship where it's like, honestly, at the time, I was settling and wasn't really, how can I put this? I knew myself, but I don't know what the fuck it was. It was just hard for me to grasp who I knew I was, if that makes sense. Just picture yourself like grasping the concept of you knowing who you are. And what you're saying is so out of line with who I am, but you're making it sound good because of like that manipulation behind it, like you said, Kamau. And that's what really brought me to that situation, to think about that. Me not knowing, well, me not standing in who I am firmly. It's just like, yo, like that's your idea of my potential. But the fact that you have no clue of my real potential means that or you might know, but you're choosing not to stand in it and communicate that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what really brought that to me. Like you have to really stand, and if you know who you are, stand in it. And if you don't, keep searching, because you know what does not feel good for sure.
And I wanna ground us a few things to like the listeners to understand when we say we know who we are. I know who I am. I know who I am because I know who I want to become. I know what version of myself I'm chasing. So we're not sitting here saying we have it figured out. We're sitting here saying, I know who I want to become.
Facts.
And I'm chasing how to get there. And that organizes your life and you find alignment. I can't remember who said it. I think it was a movie or something. We said, if you don't chase your own dreams, you'll be forced to chase someone else's. Like you being the best clerk at Trader Joe's is somebody else's dream for you. And they will be passionate about it for you. It's not what you want. You may care less about it, but they have all the passion. They have all the fire. And because you don't have a dream and a vision for yourself, you will be forced to work somebody else's. Trader Joe's is somebody's dream. McDonald's is somebody's dream. Like somebody is sitting here, someone like passionate about that company. And you are just another cog in their machine because you can't figure out yourself. And the beautiful thing about life is this: the moment you realize that there is no other you, there is no other you. Skill sets have to be added, but only child or the third born, firstborn, the youngest from that family, born in that time, with that like background, with the story, like Zuri said, the story that you come with. Once you realize there is no other you, average stops existing for you. You can't be put in a category. Benjamin Disraeli, like twice Prime Minister of UK, he said there are three types of lies: lies, damned lies, and statistics. They cannot put a number on you when you figure out who you are. You don't fit into any category. You don't fit into any column. You don't fit into any statistic.
Big facts.
Because you stop eating like other people eat. You stop moving like other people move. You start thinking for yourself and operating for, okay, this is who I want to become. How do I get there? So that's the main thing, is that individual journey of you starting to figure out, okay, I am an individual. Who do I want to become? And what's so beautiful is once the student needs a teacher, the teacher appears. Once you start to figure out, okay, I want to find myself.
That's a fact.
You start getting aligned with people who are looking for themselves too. People who are on similar journeys. And as Zuri said, you very quickly get to discern, okay, this person isn't for me. You get that feeling of, I can't be myself around this person. I can't share this thing around this person. And you need to have enough courage, enough backbone to not align yourself with that person. You
and
need
it's
to
so
know
much
it's not,
power.
yeah, it's not a good or bad thing. Like, oh, this is a good person, this is a good person, bad person. This person isn't aligned with me.
Yeah.
They're not going where I'm trying to go. They can't be in the inner circle, maybe outer circle. They may be hilarious. Let's crack jokes. Let's kick it once a month, every once in a while, but inner circle, nah. There's no alignment there. That's the one thing I teach my students when they go to high school. The most important decision you will make is who you put in your inner circle and who you put in your outer circle. The most important. Who is in that inner circle?
Yeah, so to speak to that, I saw something on social media, and the question was, what's more important, the dream or the destination? Somebody said the company. I thought that was like, okay, what's more important, the dream?
Like the company you keep?
The company you keep. Yeah, the company you keep. The company.
Somebody was like, my business.
Oh, nah.
my
the company you keep is the most is the most important. And I thought that was so profound because people, we don't, I don't think people realize, or maybe they do, because I'm just realizing it, how hard it is to really find who is for you without all of the other things that don't matter. Just want to have fun here, the manipulation here, this is your potential here, like really everything we were just talking about. The people who are truly, genuinely your people. And I one secret that I do to make sure that I'm in alignment, well, just one of them. When someone hears me when I'm silent, that's my person.
Ooh,
that's my
community.
That's my community.
Get me hype.
I don't have to say a word.
That's fire.
I don't have to say a word. I don't have to show it on my face. And I'm a crier. I don't have to cry. But you hear me when I'm silent.
Come on now. That's a gem.
That's when I know that this is my community and this is to last. This is more than just a season. This is forever.
Jesus, that was a gem of gems. Thank you. Good night, y'all. We've been Zuri and the Pivot and Proceeders.
Out of here, baby.
Good. I'ma use that when they hear. I'm sorry. I ain't mean that.
Listen.
When they hear me when I say nothing.
Nothing.
Well, when I tell you I felt that in my soul.
No.
Because when I was going through it and I went to my own shell, like, nah, I'm going to figure this out. My people, they're like, you not you anymore. From silence.
Yeah.
From silence, you not you.
Yeah.
Your people.
Sheesh.
Your people. And it ain't no doubt about it.
Good
because
night.
You are being, and the thing about it, you're being authentically yourself even when you're silent. Because you're silent for a reason. Whatever pain it is, that's you right now, right? So you're being authentically you. And me, I go into just a quiet place when I'm going through it. That's just something I've always done. That's my inner child coming out, where I had to go into almost like a cocoon to get back to who I am. So especially me being authentically me, and you hear me when I'm silent, and you speaking up for me, and you're speaking to me, and you're not giving up, you're my person. You're my community. You're my best friend. It doesn't matter. You're here with me now. You stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
And you want to be. That's the beauty of it. Because you hear me when I'm silent, man. That's just what it is. So think about that whenever you're trying to think of someone's within your inner circle, your community, whatever verbiage you want to put to it.
And
we can just go ahead, close up now.
No, real talk.
Just let that mic.
Just at that point, like, no matter how old you are, don't be under the illusion that it's too late to find good people. Don't be under that illusion that, okay, I had to know this person since I was 10 years old. I met y'all last year. You know what I'm saying?
Your day ones sometimes don't even know you. Let's be real.
Yeah, no.
Your day ones don't know the real you most of the time. I had that experience.
Is different.
Everyone I was calling the day one, who I really am, you don't know me. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But you don't know me. You don't know me because I didn't know me when you were my day one.
Whoa! Hey, boy, hey. Oh, Lord. Good night.
So it's okay. It's okay.
You didn't
It's
know me
okay.
because I didn't know me on day
It's
one.
okay.
Good.
It's okay.
Oh my, I'm about to punch this computer screen.
It's okay.
Jesus Christ.
That's all I'm saying. It's
That's
okay.
so far. She said it's okay.
It's okay.
You didn't know me because I didn't know me. Shit.
Hey, we need to put Zuri on an R&B song to sing,
real talk.
sing these gems out, man.
Yeah,
sing
like
these
hit
lessons.
the intro.
Come on now.
Hey, you got in your bag. Oh man, that Kyrie Irving layup package. Good night.
Not the fucking spin on it. The what they call that shit? The English.
Yeah, the English. Filet. What is it? Filet. Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah, we're gonna have to let that one cool off, Zuri. Next
segment.
segment.
Hot mic.
All right. Y'all want to hop into the songs of the weeks?
Yeah, let's do that. I'll start. I've been on that Burna Boy album heavy. Love
Talk
them
to us about that.
Still. Yeah. And I've been listening to like translations because, like I said, I've been using Afro beats and Yoruba artists to relearn Yoruba, like my native language, my first language, and listening to Whiskey. If you listen to the album Love the Mini, it's the one before Last, the single that everybody listening to. And it just talks about Puerto Corta and like where he's from. And just like it's real slick how he goes about it, you know. So it's about how it's rich in natural resources, but like now the air and everything is so polluted because of all the oil trying to get out and everything. So it speaks to like the blessing becoming the burden and what people are going through and flooding. And he's just like slick with it because it's called Whiskey. And I didn't understand what the hook meant, but they broke down like, he's like, just because like, yeah, I drink whiskey to dull the pain, but just because you see me fall doesn't mean I don't know what's going on. Like I'm drinking because of all the pain and what I'm going through, but that doesn't mean I don't see what's happening. And it's like, is he talking about himself? Is he talking about the people in his town? Like his hometown, he's talking about both, right? So just that relatability. And I didn't even know it was like, I knew it was deeper, but if somebody didn't offer up that translation, I wouldn't know why it hit me so hard. Because I had that song on repeat more than the single for a minute. So yeah, that Whiskey, that Burna Boy, it goes hard.
Definitely listen to
that. I'm gonna speak on an artist, not necessarily a song or an album this time, but there's a prerequisite here that you got to have an ear for California music. I know me and Zuri talk about this, and some people just don't rock with the Cali sound, at least in terms of like hip hop. But I got to shout out this dude Mozzie. There's some people who there's some artists who I think just have a really good sound and, you know, make good music and you can bob your head and it gets on the radio. But then there's other artists who are just solid ass people, you know, like not to compare the two, but I felt this way about Nipsey, is that he was just a solid ass person, you know, whether I resonated with all their songs or not. Like I just started to like him more and more just because his character, you know, because his respect, like listening to him in interviews. And I'm finding the same thing with Mozzie. Like Mozzie is a solid ass dude, you know, and I think what I respect about him too, being a gangbanger, being from the Bloods or Paru or whatever the correct terminology is that he's not afraid to speak above it, you know, like obviously he speaks from within it, but he's also like saying like, you know, that there's more to this shit, you know, and I think for somebody who comes from that, who's embedded in that, who, you know, who they helped elevate that, you know, for you to be able to be okay with standing against the set, you know, being able to speak, you know, freedom into other people and speak, you know, possibility into other people without encouraging them to go down the path that you're going. You know, that's just a lot of respect, because you can still do it from both sides. If you can still remain authentic in your gangbanging, but still speak to the possibility and the better choices of others, I mean, I just got a lot of respect for you. And I just find, you know, he said something about the young and the old. You know, he talked about this notion on this interview of his relationship with OGs and then his relationship with the young life. And it was just interesting to hear the dichotomy, because I think a lot of old heads expect respect from the young life, you know, from everybody. And it's like, yeah, you better give the shit. I did my time. Like, you know what time it is, like, run me that respect. And I think from Mozzie's perspective, you know, he really meets respect with respect. Like, he gives respect to receive respect. And I, that's just kind of how I like to move in life, is whether you're young or you're old, I expect respect. You know, I don't just, I'm not out here just disrespecting old folks, of course not. But at the same time, like, you know, I'm not going to let old folks disrespect me either. Like, I want to be met with respect, both sides of the equation. And Mozzie just really just seems like a solid dude, through and through. So yeah, I connected with his interviews, but I've also been connecting with a lot of his music recently.
Okay.
Mozzie. Gotta give him a listen.
Mozzie.
I like how you broke that down. So mine is a little toxic this week. It's not going to be any think pieces. The new album I've been on this week, for the past 2 weeks, is Brent Faiyaz.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
That album right there, my God, toxic to the max. Like, this man has entire skits of just toxic. But my favorite song on there so far is Addictions. Second favorite would have to be probably Ghetto Gatsby with Alicia Keys, because I just love her flair, her swag on that song. I think it meshed really well with Brent's style. But yeah, my choice this week is definitely Toxic. So yeah, give it up for Brent.
It's a Wasteland, right?
Yeah, Wasteland. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then we got Glows and Grows. So
Yes,
I'll start us off. Glow, I'll say, as Zuri said, like, stay down, the game gonna mess you. Stay down. Like, I'm really, you know, when you have such momentum, I put it this, we've been in the dark a long time, we just made it look like light. So, like, to feel like light in the darkness, and now you see the universe is like, I feel like I'm in that place. So when still shining, but it's still darkness right now. We ain't even really cooking yet. So I just feel like I'm on the road, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, planting the seeds I'm supposed to be planting. And as I told Zuri earlier, what my glow is, I feel like I'm in that space 1 year past where everybody else would have stopped.
That's a cold place.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm a problem. Like, it was a warrior mode. Like, now this is forever. Yeah. This is forever. And like I said, like, this is who I am. There is nothing else. And my grow is, I've had opportunities where if it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have not shifted from my loved ones or family members. And as I told Zuri earlier as well, my tunnel vision got wider. And I stepped out of the tunnel, or I brought them in the tunnel, however you want to look at it. And I made time for what is most important. Because I don't look at it anymore as, okay, this is 1A, this is 1B. No, everything has to fit into the vision. And I've grown to the point of I made it work. Yeah. In the midst of chasing the thing, I stopped and I did the most important thing that needed to be done for family. So I was like, that's the grow. And I'm just, yeah, that's it.
Love that. I would say my grow is my tenacity and my commitment to finding a way out. Like you said, I've been in the darkness for a while. Like on our other episode as well, we tapped into that. And me being committed and me knowing that sometimes it's okay not to be okay. and knowing sometimes it's okay to not even to still be where you thought you would be, right? But the connotation to that is I'm exactly where I need to be right now. Mindset, location, it doesn't matter. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now in this moment. And my commitment to still, finding my way out and finding my way through and finding my way up is definitely my growth. Like I'm so proud of myself. Like I'm so proud of myself because it can get hard, right? It can get very hard. My glow, I'm gonna keep it probably simple this week. My glow, it kind of ties into my growth. Like I'm just proud of myself. I am. I'm doing the best I can in all areas of my life right now. And that's all I can do. That's all I can control. And that's definitely my glow because it took me a long time to get here, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Because everything is happening for me, and not to me.
Oh shit! Got the damn neighbor's dog spazzing right now. Um, this is definitely the hardest part of the show for me. This is the part where I really got to sit with myself and I really got to think, like, because I think what I like about this segment and for the listener, encouraging why you should do this with us, frankly, is because it really makes you evaluate, like it makes you take a second to really think about your life. Step outside of the forest to look at the trees. Like it really makes you think about what's up, like and objectively look at yourself. And so when we come to this part, sometimes it just rolls off the tongue, and sometimes I really just got to sit with myself for a couple of seconds to really gather my thoughts. My grow is exactly this. It's to get quiet. And I talked about this maybe it was last episode, a couple episodes ago, but I really feel like we have all the answers within. It's just a matter of how quiet can you get. And it's noisy out here. It's noisy as fuck. Like, and not only is it noisy, but a lot of times my entire community is noise makers. They're ruckus makers, as Seth Godin, famous marketer, says. And I think that's a good thing. But when it's time to try to figure out what's next for you, when I'm in my mode of trying to figure out what's next for me, I feel good, but I feel like I'm a little lost in a way too. And I think like I've been doing, good stuff in terms of like developing things that I've wanted to, or trying to improve myself so that I wanted to. But when it comes to setting the vision for what's next, what am I really trying to step into? I don't have all those answers yet, but I do know I need to get quiet. I just know it. I know it. I fucking know it. And it's been hard. It's hard to get to that level of just pure silence. So it's something that I'm actively thinking about and trying, and I know I need to get there. In terms of the glow, it might be a little premature, but just I'm pretty happy with being able to put homies on, being able to put people on, and not just because they're homies, but just being able to help folks out who I know all they need is an in. All they need is an opportunity. Like it's not a matter of lack of work ethic. It's not a matter of lack of capability. It's just a lack of that cracked door that they can just snatch open and just go. And like just to crack the door and kind of like walk the other direction so nobody saw me crack the door, but then they just pull that thing open and just run straight through it. Like that's a place I'm in, and I'm pretty happy about it, because it's cool. Because sometimes you crack that door and people, they start fumbling, like they don't know how to get in, they don't know how to, they're like searching for their keys. It's like, bro, like you just gotta walk through. And some people it doesn't work out, but there's other people who it does. That the timing was right, that the moment was right, and that's all they needed. So, that's the glow.
Hey man, I love it here. I hope y'all love it here too. So
Can I ask for a quick request real quick? If you do love it here, please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. There's a handful of y'all who showed a lot of love in the beginning, and we appreciate that. But if you love it here, show some love.
Yeah, and I'm just over here smiling, really enjoying life. May you be blessed. May you be blessed. Until next time, may every pivot be followed by a proceed. Maybe the end of that proceed be full of more blessings and more challenges, because that is our lives. We love y'all.
Peace.